Hi, good morning. I'd like to welcome Rush Hill, who is the current mayor of Newport Beach, to On Point. And I'm not going to give his background because I'm sure you all know his background, but I'd like to know where you got that name.
Well, I was actually named by my grandfather's grandmother, and I'm the second. So she wanted to name her grandchild, which was my grandfather, and she picked the name Rush because she said there was no nickname to it. She hated nicknames. And so he became Russian Hill the first, and I became Russian Hill the second. When my first son was born, he became Russian Hill the third. The unique thing is that when I was born, my mother received a gift, and the person sending the gift wasn't sure what my name was, so she wrote Rusty on it. And as a result, I was nicknamed from birth against my great-grandmother's desires, and I was Rusty until which time my son was born. Then he became Rusty, and he still goes by Rusty today.
Is that the name on your birth certificate, though?
Rush in Hill the second is the name on my birth certificate.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we pleased your grandmother,
Yeah.
even though your nickname was Rusty. I saw you on a talk show. Well, no, it wasn't a talk show. It was when you were speaking before some group, and I was really drawn to you. I was ready to flip you out, and I was drawn to you because you're such a friendly guy, and you actually made everything so clear. Good speaker. So, but you seemed really excited about the prospect of taxis in the harbor. And so I'd like to know, could you talk a little bit about how many there might be, how it would physically work, and what the cost might be to the citizens of Newport Beach, and also, is it really going to happen this summer?
Those are all of the questions that we have posed to the Harbor Commission, and challenging them with the opportunity to find out how we could get something in the water this summer as a pilot project. And that water taxi would be tied to the concept as well as floating docks as a alternative mooring system, once again as a pilot project that we could utilize in our harbor. The overall goal, starting with the docks, is to reduce the area that we use to store boats in. And a floating dock system, it appears, or we've been led to believe, would save about 2/3 of the area that we now use for moorings with respect to a way to house boats. If we had a floating dock system, it would be a demand, if you will, for a water taxi opportunity. We've tried that in the past, and it's failed because there were just simply not enough riders on a year-round basis. And so how can we generate riders? Well, floating docks is one new thing to bring to the table. A second new thing to bring to the table for the water taxi is our Visit Newport Beach and Newport Beach and Company, which is the marketing wing of the city, if you will. And they're working with our business districts, they're working with our restaurant association, they're working with our hotels, our hospitality industry, and they're very excited about a water taxi because they think that fits in with all of those opportunities. And so the Harbor Commission has been charged with looking at these things. They've set up two subcommittees. One subcommittee focusing on the floating docks, and a second subcommittee focusing on the water taxi. And they're evaluating all of those elements that you've talked about. Now, what are the various alternatives that will be looked at? Well, what we've discussed is there's multiple ways that you could achieve transportation on the harbor. And one is like a bus system, if you will, that rotates and goes from pier to pier to pier that are designated piers. And by the way, we have hotels that have been interested in saying, hey, please, we'll pay to be a designated pier. We have restaurants that are interested. We have public piers, and we have more public piers that we're putting in, once again, because of the Harbor Commission's direction. And so it could be like a bus that would be on schedule. If we did that, for example, and let's say that route all the way around was an hour, well, then if we had 4 of those taxis in that cycle, then we'd have a taxi every 15 minutes at each one of those piers. So that's one thing that they're evaluating. The other thing they're evaluating is once again something new to the program, and that's what I call the Uber concept, the Uber taxi. And as we look into this, once again, nothing new, Uber has systems for water taxis in other areas that they're using right now today. And so we have someone that's communicating with Uber and looking at that. Well, Uber could do a point-to-point. And so we could be, during the heavy season, be running a bus schedule around the harbor and then have maybe 2 more that would be point-to-point, where you could go to your personal dock at your residence and type in on your iPhone that you'd like to go to the cannery for lunch or for dinner. And the Uber taxi could come over and pick you up and then take you over to your point-to-point type of thing, or to your floating dock to get to your boat. So those are the elements that are being looked at. And then during the winter, when we have lower traffic, maybe we go all to the point-to-point kind of desires, where people would want to go. But what's exciting to me is that people can come from any place in Newport Beach and come down to any point that we have as a designated drop-off or pickup point, and then go around the harbor and enjoy the elements of the harbor. They can go over to the new Marina Park and where there'll be a public dock, and they can have lunch at the new restaurant that'll be next to the community center. They can go to the exercise class at the community center, or a cooking class at the community center. And then get back on the water taxi, and then they can go down to the cannery and have lunch, or they can go over to Lido Village and do some shopping, and then come back to a drop-off point or Mariner's Mile. And so that's an exciting thing to us, because the harbor is what makes us different than any place else. And to really utilize that harbor and to enjoy that harbor, that to me is what this is all about, the combination of the dock exercise and the combination of the water taxi opportunity. And something that I find, and I'll tell tales out of school now, but as I travel around and speak to groups, and I probably speak to 3 or 4 groups a week, people come up to me afterwards, and the majority of what they want to comment on is the concept of the water taxi. And they're all very excited about it. Why haven't we done that a long time ago? When will you think we'll be able to do this? And so there is a tremendous excitement of our 87,000 population base. At the same time, so many people that go to the subcommittee on the water taxi are there to complain. And like anything we do, there's a real small group of people that are the naysayers. That'll never work. We can't do that. That'll damage this. That'll hurt that. And so we've got to break through that small vocal group and let the majority voice be heard, that people want this. And it will actually solve some of our transportation problems and our traffic problems on the peninsula, because more people will be able to get to our establishments, to the Balboa Village, to all the activity that's going on there, and not have to drive there, because they can go to someplace else and park. They can park in the empty parking lot in Mariner's Mile that we have, the public parking lot, and get on a water taxi and go over to Balboa Village. Those are the kinds of exciting things that we need to think out of the box and be able to provide, not only for our citizens in Newport Beach, but for the public that has the opportunity of enjoying the harbor. So.
That sounds absolutely great. The people that oppose it, what is their main complaint?
Well, they have some legitimate reasons. I mean, they think that some will, I provide these kinds of services on the water, tour services and that type of thing, and people might not want to use my tour service anymore because they come down to get on the taxi and ride around. I'm certain that will happen to a certain extent, but there's a broader picture. And it's just like when you go in our hotels and stay, we have all the brochures of all of our activities and that type of thing. Well, why shouldn't our taxis have those brochures as well? And people come down, and you're not going to be able to come down and have a party on the taxi. You're not going to be able to come down and have a glass of wine on the taxi. And so people can come down and take that taxi around and say, wow, this is really what our harbor is. It's pretty exciting. Maybe I want to come down and rent a boat and bring a group down and do something. Or maybe I want to go on a tour and learn more about the city and these different types of things. So to me, the pie gets bigger. And the concept of the pie getting bigger is difficult for some people to pick up. But that's my direction, and that's what I'm trying to work through at this point in time.
That sounds absolutely great. I have a lot of questions, but one would be the buses would carry how many people?
Well, I think we're looking at a scale, and once again, I haven't been briefed since the last meeting of the subcommittee, but I think we're looking at a scale of around 10 to 12 people. So we're not looking for big vessels, if you will. We're looking for vessels that are of a proper scale to our harbor, and then we're looking at a pricing that I would say that would be, south of $10. Maybe $10 around the harbor, or $5 point to point, or something of that sort. Once again, those are elements that the Harbor Commission, through the subcommittees, have been charged to evaluate and bring back to the council.
I'm excited. Can we get this done by summer?
Well, I'm ready to put a boat in the water right now, but unfortunately,
so such a boat actually exists. A bus actually exists.
Well, we call it a bus. It's not a bus.
No, I know.
But do they exist? Yes, they do. It has to be Coast Guard approved, and you have to have a licensed skipper and those kinds of things. But yes, they do exist, and so maybe on a pilot project we can lease them, until we get everything ferreted out and figure out how we really want to work and do it. But that's what they're working on right now.
Okay, by summer? No.
I hope.
You're really hopeful about that.
We're supposed to have a report back from them within the next month, I believe, and so I'll be able to give you more information in 30 more days. But yeah, that's the drive we're on.
That's great. We'll be back.
That's the drive we're on.
I have another question. With the addition of the hotel, the boutique hotel, and the mixed-use development, and the park, the marina, the peninsula will definitely have a newer look. But what about the traffic? And I know you've addressed it with the boat situation, with the taxi situation, but do you have any other plan?
Well, I think that you have to look at where these new facilities are, and this is a really excitement rebirth of the peninsula, West Newport Beach, total West Newport Beach area. The hotel will be, the Lido House Hotel will be located at the quote unquote the old City Hall site. And so that's at the very beginning of the peninsula, and so I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I think the traffic studies show that it's not that much more traffic than what the City Hall generated, and so we think that that's going to be a safe opportunity, if you will. Then we've already opened is the new shopping center. I'm not sure what it's called, to be honest with you.
The one on
32nd Street, and so that's a fabulous success and not causing a problem. And then we've got what's going on in Lido Village. We've got some really exciting things there with the rebirth of the theater once again, and the theater attempting to move forward. Explore Ocean, what they're moving forward with in their programs. And then we have, between the two, between the hotel and that area, we have Marina Park. And so, yes, those will generate traffic coming down, but we had a park there before. And we'll have a marina there. So a lot of the access, we'll get more use out of our harbor because, the boating access will improve. It'll be higher than it was before, and that will be an offset to some of the traffic that's coming down there. We really don't have any activities south of Balboa Village, so the point will remain basically as it's been. But even within Balboa Village, they're looking at new parking programs right now. We have some restricted parking programs to help protect the residents that are down there, that are being experimented with and tried with. So, I don't have a specific answer on the fact that it is being evaluated with each one of those projects, and we're comfortable as we look at each one of those that enough improvements are being made that will deal with the vehicular traffic.
But you don't have a plan right now to open up another lane. Remember, there was. Okay.
No. Well, there is a new design that's happening with Newport Boulevard between the bridge and 32nd Street. And that will be improved with a free right-hand turn lane from Newport Boulevard on the 32nd, so that if you're turning right, you're not having to wait to turn right because of traffic that's going straight, and bicycle lanes will be added, and we'll see more and more bicycle utilization down on the peninsula. So all those elements are in process right now, but we're not adding a lane all the way down down
Right.
to Balboa Village.
Okay. That's great. That's all we have time for. It's a short